Hello and welcome to this week's YouTube video. We are focusing on 5 common makeup mistakes that women over 50 make and how to fix them. Look, I know as we head into this new season, we notice changes in our skin. It is drier. It is a little more ruddy. It is a little more pale, less pigmentation. So there tends to be correction and oftentimes overcorrection in some areas where our makeup actually isn't working for us, but it's working against us. Some fears that kick in at a certain age too, with rules, I can't do this and I'm not supposed to do that. I want to dispel some myths today, and I want to encourage you to have an open mind when it comes to doing your makeup later in life and to be aware of the changes, but not to necessarily hyper correct. And I'll explain what I mean as we get into today's YouTube video. I'm going to do what I actually did in the past with the makeup facelift video, where I do one side one way, one side the other. I think there is no more greater way to show a difference than to actually see it on the same face. So I'll walk you through. I've already primed my skin with moisturizer and SPF. So I'm going to assume that you have done the same thing, that you're primed, you're ready to go. But really it's foundation. And that's where I'm starting to see some of the biggest issues, is that our skin gets drier, so there is this movement away from a strong matte foundation, which is good. We don't want super matte foundations because they have too much coverage. They can be cakey. I'm going to call the first one really foundation faux pas. What I'm really seeing is simply too much foundation, the wrong type of foundation, and the wrong color in foundation. So the biggest thing is this overcorrection and this whole dewy thing. And what I'm noticing is that a lot of women are opting for very, very hydrating, moisturizing foundations, a little too much so. So what I'm about to show you isn't so much that this product is wrong, it's the coverage, it is the color and how it's being used. Beautiful product. It's CC cream. It's a color corrector. It has SPF in it. It's hydrating. It has all the good things in it. But what I'm noticing is, for instance, you'll notice right away, this color is too light for my skin. Remember, we match the chest and not the face. So oftentimes you see women and their faces are too light, too white, and it doesn't blend in. This is a perfect example. So this foundation, as you can see, is just too pale. Also, the application of all over. Literally, we are applying equal amounts of foundation to 1/2 of the face. Now, this may have matched my skin color on my face, but it most certainly is not matching my chest color. So immediately when you pull away, you notice the difference. Now, I love this product. I think it's amazing for coverage. I think it's amazing if you have redness, splotchiness, rosacea. Beautiful. I wouldn't apply it this way. So clearly, this is too light and too much. What I'm going to be using on the other side is a beautiful product by Ilia. I love it. They're clean. I will tell you this. As I get older, less is more. I find myself wearing less makeup. I think I look better with less makeup. Just my application, my hand has gotten lighter. Everything that I'm doing is lighter and I like it better. I think it makes me look younger. That's what's so neat about serum tint foundations. It's a lighter coverage foundation, light to medium. Serum tints also have skincare. Like this has niacinamide in it. So not only are you getting some coverage for your skin, but you're also getting really good skincare. The other thing, clean beauty, be aware of what you're buying and what you're putting on your skin, right? So this one will match my skin a little bit better. And where I'm going to start applying is really where I need it most. So that's going to be right here, where I have the most coverage needed. And then I'm just going to simply take the extra and blend out. So center of the face, primarily, it's where you're going to need it. And then literally just whisk the remains outward. So you'll have less coverage out here on the side of your face. where you're going to find that you need it less. As you can see, this side is a better match than this side. The wrong side is a little bit too chalky. This one is settling into my skin tone nicely. What I love about serum tints also is that it looks like skin. You know, you can still see your skin, which is what I want. And in areas where you need a little more coverage, like for me, it's right in here, just add a little extra. I just sort of stipple it in. So foundation is obviously the biggest one, and it sets the stage literally for how your makeup is going to wear and how blended you look from head to chest. The next area that I'm seeing, I'm just going to apply some eyeshadow primer just so that we can move forward. This isn't necessarily an area of issue. The next area of mistake for ladies over 50, cartoonish eyebrows. You know I love NYX Lift and Snatch, but you can take one product, two different colors, applied two different ways, and get two totally different results. We have to be very careful not to just draw in an eyebrow, but really to etch it in, to do hair-like strokes. So here's an example. Oftentimes, colors are just too dark on the eyebrows. It is always better to go lighter than darker. I'm going to do the wrong side with the darkest, which is espresso. Oftentimes I'll mix colors, but here's the problem when you take one color that's too dark and you go in and you don't follow the hair, but you just start drawing in. And this is whether it's a pencil, shadow, pen like this. It gets drawn in and it gets dark and it looks drawn in and it looks unnatural, right? And you saw what I did. I just literally, I went straight across and just filled in the whole eyebrow. Same product, Lift and Snatch, different color. This one is brunette, different application. Now with this one, I'm going to stencil it in, kind of like microblading an eyebrow, mimicking hair strokes that go from the bottom up and not filling the whole thing, leaving some room in between where you can actually see sort of these individual hairs that you've created. Brows are honestly one of the most important things. You get brows right and you got your makeup game going on. Another way to really make this look natural, take a spoolie, and if need be, even with a pen, you can just take it and brush and it'll help soften any lines. But do you see how natural looking that brow is versus how harsh and artificial that one is? Big, big difference. All right, I'm just going to apply some eyeshadow. Eyeshadow isn't a part of this equation, but I do feel at our age, a lot of women sometimes avoid it. I think that's a mistake. Our lids get heavier, and I think a little bit of a medium tone. This is the Dominique Be Blessed Quad with Gentry Kelly. Even sometimes just taking this mid-tone, right, and applying it from lid all the way up into crease. Even if we're just to do one color, it immediately gives some depth and opens up the eye. That's it. The next mistake that I see is placement of eyeliner. I just cannot reiterate how important it is to go from under up as opposed to up down. So a lot of women will start their eyeliner here and they'll go on top, and this closes off the eye. This is really, really, really precious real estate right here. And a lot of us don't have a lot of open lid space. So coming from top down darkens the eye, makes it seem heavy, and also a little bit downturned. Coming from the underside, and this is a waterproof eyeliner, by the way, which is also very, very important to prevent smudging which I would say is another mistake, but we're just all going to keep this in the whole eyeliner category. This builds up that lash line, creates that darkness on the line, keeps this lid nice and light, and then you can just take a little bit here on the outside and just give it a nice little flick out right there. And that's a beautiful way to kind of open up the eye. This one closing off, this one a little bit more open. Let's just get mascara on. And you can use an eyelash curler, obviously, to help open up the eye, just in the name of brevity. I am moving on to our next mistake. You already see a difference in the eye and the openness of it. Concealer I'm essentially putting under the same category as foundation. Again, wrong color. I'm gonna go a little too light. Right formulation, I love this. By Typology Serum Concealer, just simply too light. Too light and too much, and too widespread. So, you know, these days of kind of swiping from inner corner all the way out, not necessarily necessary. And it can lead to, especially if you're showing a lot of lines here on the outside, too much of a product can accentuate that. Even too much of a good thing. So now I'm going to use the right color right here, and I'm going to concentrate on where I need it the most, which is right here. You know, it's the dark circle under the eye, and to even pull it down a little bit right here. So this area gets the greatest concentration where it's needed. And then if I need just a tiny little hit out to the side, I can do that. I'm using far, far less concealer out here. Sometimes I just need it if I'm, you know, cleaning up some eyeshadow. But I mean, just the tiniest amount. You see it brightened right here. I'm not swiping all the way out there. I don't need it. Here is where I'm seeing the biggest mistake. Fear of powder. I don't know what has happened, but somebody's been told somewhere, after a certain age, you can't use powder. It's all gonna settle in your lines and no powder after 50. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of calling BS on that, okay? It depends on the type of powder and the placement of the powder. Here's the deal. If you take something like this, which is a very, very hydrating corrective cream, and you leave it unchecked, it's already very, very shiny. What does shine do? But it draws light. It draws attention. So it's going to draw light and draw attention to the things that you don't want it to, which means lines, bumps, uneven texture, pores, all of it. So yes, I understand wanting a dewier finish, but all this sheen, all this shine, all of this looking like a frying pan, I'm sorry, save that for the 20-year-olds. They can pull it off. For us, it's actually going to age you and make you look older. The key is powder placement, right powder. I have always used Laura Mercier Translucent Loose. I have found, I know this is earth shattering, I think, I have found a new powder that I am enjoying equally. What I love, it's also by Ilia. It's a clean line. This is a talc-free powder, which is very, very important. So it's a light, super light, finely milled powder, which you can see right here. It's white. And again, the placement. So I'm going to use two different brushes. This is a Gentry Kelly powder brush, and I'm going to do just a tiny bit. And with that, I'm going to set, because I want to cut the shine that's going on right here. Just a little bit. I'm going to set this with the powder, and I'm sticking primarily toward the inner part where I concentrated more of that concealer. And then for the rest of my face, I'm going to use a brush. These are BK cosmetic brushes that I've been using. So I'm going to get a little bit on the brush and then tap and get rid of the excess. And again, center part of the face, okay? So here, T-zone, this is where I'm oily, right here. and then the rest, whatever is left on that brush, can go out. Okay, so I still have a very skin-like finish on this side of my face. As you can see, it's not matte, but it is natural and skin-like. It is toned down with the powder. This is full-on shine, and as the day progresses and being out in the heat, this unchecked is going to get very, very greasy. It's going to be problematic. Here's the deal, because any product that you've applied to your eyes, your liner, mascara, shadow, if there's no powder under here, and you can even take the powder brush and just even hit right here along the lower lash line, which will help immensely with preventing anything from up top, your liner, your mascara, from smudging below. But no powder setting here, you run the risk of everything just sliding south as the day progresses, which I don't think is your goal. Okay, moving on, I'm just going to apply blush. Forget about, you know, contouring and doing all of that. This is way more of a natural look anyway. So this is a blush by Morphe. Again, and let's you know, talk about color, just enough to warm you up, right? So I'm just going to get that on. And this is a powder. And on this side, I'll do the cream. Use my finger. Again, pulling back, you get better perspective, natural looking, skin looking, getting just a little bit too light and too shiny. So now let's follow it up with the lips and another area that I'm seeing. And that is, as we age, we get lines. A lot of ladies complain about, you know, those vertical lines and lipstick bleeding into it. So it has to be contained with a lip liner. I personally prefer a skin tone liner. I'm still using Nude Truffle by NYX. So I'm, again, going in. Liner is super important to help keep it all in place. If you don't use liner, and let's just say you throw on some lipstick and then head out the door, you're going to run into the problem of that lipstick starting to bleed. So I'm just going to not line that side. Okay, this side is lined. So the lipstick issues that I have noticed are either going too light or too dark. Too light, as we age, first of all, our skin tone and lip color is fading. If you go too light, it looks like you're not alive. Too dark is too harsh. So in this case, I'm going to do the too light on this side. Now, the texture of this is good. You do want a cream type based consistency. You know, at our age, it's very, very hard to wear these uber mattifying lipsticks, but you don't want too creamy. So it's just a nice happy medium. The next thing is the importance of applying lipstick with a brush if you can. So the right side, the correct side, still a nude. This was a color that I created with Gentry Kelly. It's Dominique Be Blessed. And we created two shades, and I'll explain the reasoning for it. I love a good nude, but I have found that as I've gotten older, this nude, this is just, it's too pale for me. It washes me out. It does nothing for my skin tone. Having enough pink and enough peach in there still gives me a natural look, but it gives me a bright type of a look, an awake look. Like I have some color on my lips, and Lord knows we need that. So, and I'm not taking it all the way to the edge of that lip liner either. Which is why you want your liner to be relatively close to your lipstick. And this will prevent that bleeding and feathering. But do you see the difference in these types of nudes? This nude gives some color, some warmth to the skin. This nude, I look like I have nothing, right? I just look very white, very pale. Let me step back. This side, very pale. White, This side, color, natural. The next issue that a lot of women complain about is, again, that bleeding. And what contributes to that is if you have dry lips, you're going to probably want to gravitate to a lip gloss or a lip oil. And a lot of women will take that gloss and oil and will literally go all the way. Well, that's only going to exacerbate the problem. That's only going to create further bleeding into the lip line. And you can see the creep of the lipstick and the lip gloss going all the way up into the lip line. The better placement for that is just simply right here in the center of the lip. And you get the moisture and the hydration and just a little, like, this is my 2 cents, which is a part of the Be Blessed bundle. And, you know, it's a complimentary shade, gives that a little glow, a little gloss, but it's right here in the middle. My lips feel hydrated and I don't have to worry about that bleeding that's going to take place. So I get that lightness, but I don't get kind of the goop. So these are the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing. I could keep going. There are many. I think there could be a part 2 to this video, but again, it's very powerful seeing something split. And let's take a look at the wrong side. Too strong of a brow, too light a foundation, too light concealer, eyeliner on top, too light lipstick, and the gloss all the way around. The right side, the right color foundation, a good serum tint that shows the skin, a little bit of powder to correct any type of a shine, the right concealer, the right placement, eyeliner coming from underneath, very, very soft, brushed out eyebrow, and lipstick that still gives a neutral look, but gives some color to the lip as well as preventing the bleed. Very, very natural type of a look. It's what I love. It actually doesn't take long at all, but it's amazing the difference between the two. And I hope this helped you and maybe your thoughts toward applying your makeup. Maybe you found yourself thinking, uh-oh, I do a little bit too much of that, or I never really thought about it. I thought it would be nice for you to see a fully normal face with the right way done. So wrong side removed. I completely fixed it, did it like the left side. So now you can see the balance, the symmetry, and especially as I pull back, most importantly, that the foundation, the chest, everything matches. Everything is light. There's enough color in the face, but it's still a wonderfully natural look. We want to look like the best version of ourselves. And I think that learning how to tweak and adjust makeup so that we can make that happen is the secret sauce over 50. So happy to be the chef in that kitchen. Give me any thoughts or ideas, maybe some tricks that you have, things that are working for you, things that you've had to change as you've, rounded that corner over 50 and you notice a difference in your skin and your makeup needs and how you're applying. Also, please let me know how I might be in service for you. What can I do for you? What are you hoping to learn from me, or what can I learn to possibly bring to you? That's why I'm here. It's an act of giving and I just enjoy it so very much. And look, I learn, I change as I go. If you see my older videos, for those of you who've been with me for a long time, you've seen a big difference from how I do things today versus in my mid to late 40s. And there's a reason for that. Not only is it, I would say, a lifestyle shift, but it's also just a desire and a needed shift. And as long as our eyes are open and we're willing to try and experiment, hey, the world is our oyster. So go out, be bold and be blessed with your new makeup techniques, and I will see you next week.